Yeah.
That would make me mad too. Cause that's like an extra couple bucks you could trade off something else.
Especially with the color correction.
When did those boxes get there? For the backdrop.
I think Gary put them up
A little elf
this
in there.
weekend.
Wow.
A little elf.
Not sure.
The alien shot a laser beam.
Noticed
I was
them
like,
the other
damn, why are
day.
there a few boxes?
When you went to your nail skin and nails class, what day in skin did you guys do your waxing?
Dude, it was like Wednesday. I'm just kidding, I can't remember.
No, not like the Wednesday, like the day, like where in the class, like during the first week of skin?
It was like the second
I was
week.
super stoked that I wouldn't have to shave for like 3 weeks, and we're doing Teddy's tomorrow, and I definitely gotta shave in like a week.
Dude, it's okay. Everyone wants it super hairy.
I'm not trying to have someone touch my hair,
Yeah.
like I'm not trying to have that.
It's okay, you'll get over it. Just start making Chewbacca noises.
Okay, so when you're ready to
Yeah.
sing.
I can shave like 3.
Did you pass me the same for this?
No, for this it's Fruity Pebbles 1. Media@federico.edu.
Fruity Pebbles? I forgot about that. Gross. The Almanac Andy, I'm here to say I like Fruity Pebbles on occasion.
What are you doing over there?
Just staring off into space.
I know.
Watching these twisties go on.
He seems like he's very good at these twisties.
He's a twisty master. Nope.
It wasn't supposed to rub. Oh, gotcha.
Do you have an Instagram?
Okay. Hey. Hey. That. Oh, chubby kid.
Which episode is this, Josh?
I think it's 12 or
Do I get
13.
to watch it after?
Tomorrow?
Here you go, dude. I'm pretty. Oh, there we go.
Double chin.
Good luck, buddy. No music.
Are you nervous?
Now I am.
Why?
Because you just texted me.
I was just wondering. You don't seem nervous, that's why I was asking. I was like, either you've been playing it off real well, or you're not.
My voice will start cracking in a second.
You're gonna do great.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Federico Advanced Education. I'll be your host tonight. Adam is out on business. He'll be back next week. My name is Billy Miller, and we're going to work on a kind of creative sectioning and keeping the haircut a bit simplified. This can actually work really well for some of your guests that want something for everyday wear, but it keeps it a little more active for yourself. Standing behind the chair every day, I know how it can be a little rough if you're working a lot. Excuse me for a second. So if you're really busy behind the chair, I know sometimes it's a little rough to get away and learn a couple of new things. So today we're going to work on something that's going to be a little fun for you, keep it a little creative, but like I was saying before, the overall general execution of the look can be an everyday wear for your client, still feel very sexy, and not something that's super strong intensive. So our model today is Nicole. She's a senior at Federico Beauty Institute. And speaking to Nicole a little bit earlier, she's looking to keep a little bit of length to her hair, but we're going to take up probably about 2 inches. We do have a nape area that has been cut shorter, actually shaved. So I want to look out for that. But generally today, I don't want to touch anything below the rounds of the head here. So we're going to work mainly on the top. So we're going to get started, and I'm going to explain a little bit about what's happening. So what I'm going to do first is just kind of grab the ends of the hair and cut this length off first. The section that we have is probably only about 2 inches. And I wanted to talk a little bit as we get started. I'm going to touch base on the weekend that just passed. We had a really great weekend. Andy, why don't you talk a little bit about that as I get started? Ah, you don't have the microphone. All right, well, just to get started, we had the Godwell KMS collective this weekend. It went excellent. We had with us Demetrius and Sonia Brada. And they worked on a couple of color ombre techniques. Their models looked incredible. It was great to have them in the house. And
Sonia taught styling and Demetrius taught colors.
Taught the color, yes. It was great to have them. They're both NAHA winners and nominees. So it was really great to have them all under the same roof. Last but not least, the Adam Federico and AJF team also contribute to a little bit of the show. With the opening intro, we had some great models. Everything turned out really great. Nice concentration of color, very, very bold and soft at the same time, keeping it with the external shapes of the haircut. So right now, just to get to what we're doing, I'm going to take off probably about 2 inches just to get started. I'm going to pump the chair up just a little bit more. And no elbow?
No elbow.
No elbow. So just to work a little bit with the camera, I'm just going to go backhand at this point and clean up whatever kind of gets lagged a little behind, which I'm not assuming to be much. It's a great technique to use.
So is this going to be all of the perimeter?
Yes. And right now I'm just going to kind of clean up a little bit.
We're just taking it all in one section because...
Well, because the nape area was cut out. We don't really have that much of it about. It's kind of where the head shape starts to change anyway. So it's only about 1 inch.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to take it all together. What I'm going to do at that point is I want to kind of keep the perimeter square. So as we carry around to the front, I'm just going to grab a section of it. And we're going to continue that. I want a little bit of softness on it, so I'm actually going to elevate it slightly out. And when dry detailing, we'll execute that. Clean it up a little bit. Being at the front of the head, well, it's kind of balanced out with this, being the nape area is cut. But I wanted to have a little bit more free movement, so I'm just going to elevate it slightly. The concave layers that we'll be doing on the top is going to really break that up. We're looking for a very loose interior. So I'm going to turn the head again just to make sure. We're going to elevate slightly, same as before, on the opposite side. Forward and get a general feel of the balance of it. So we're going to come back a little bit more. Slightly. It did seem to match. What I'm going to do is actually kind of figure out my guide or design line at this point on where I want to see it hit. And I'm actually looking at about the earlobe area. I'm going to over direct it, so I'm elevating towards the ceiling, and I'm slightly over directing to the front. This is going to elongate my shape as it's wrapping around the head and produce more of a round shape. So we're going to check this out. And it's just really breaking up the interior, just to loosen it up and get a little bit more movement. Now I'm actually bringing my section in back past the mastoid process, and I'm going to take care of it as I wrap around to the front. Actually, I wrap around to the back. Sorry about that one. So as I'm doing that, Andy's actually going to jump in for a second and talk a little bit about what's coming up. We have a list right there, Andy. We actually have a couple of great guys coming in all at once for a symposium. And there are actually some major hitters. Been doing a lot of education. Two under the same roof at the same time were HBV winners, Hairbrain Video Award winners. DJ Muldoon for Best Education. And Andy, what did Douglas take for that one?
Douglas got, I think,
For
best video or something.
Best Video. He took the whole thing, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really great. So you got both of those guys under the same roof. That's happening in September. You can actually go to Federico Ed, and it'll have the dates that they're coming and the pricing that the classes will be held. I think they range between $225 to $275, depending if you're a student or alumni or a stylist.
Yeah, it's free for alumni.
It's free for alumni.
And students.
Oh, nice. That's
But
even better.
I think it's like, I don't know, $25 or something.
Nice. That's even better.
I'm not sure.
Hopefully we get in on that for free.
Oh yeah.
All right, so what I would normally do in the mirror is get my balance. So I'm actually going to check this with the help of Andy and actually look at it from the back on where it's fallen.
Was that just a little guide for you for that stuff?
That was a guide. If you know, well, because of the section that I have on top that I'm going to approach next, we're going to actually over direct everything, and the design line is going to have a little bit of a concave kinetic cutting done to it. So I'm actually a little bit higher on this segment. So what I decided to do was actually try to get my balance at a 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Anything onto the heavier side comes a little further down. Anything on the lighter side is usually your 12 o'clock, and that's going to make up in compensation. So we're going to spin the camera. And what I'm doing at this point is I'm using my comb basically as a level to figure out where the head shape changes, and everything else I'm going to leave for the next section. And again, I'm going to be elevating higher up to the ceiling. I'm going to over direct slightly forward with my fingers just to create a little bit of that length we're talking about to wrap behind. So I already have this sectioned out, so at this point I'm just going to continue it through and again carry all this section up and elevate it again towards the ceiling and over direct slightly forward. What I'm doing is I'm compensating for the flatness of the sides. So I've got to over rotate my fingers slightly forward just to kind of give the appearance of the roundness. I think Andy's helping me out here. We've got to find this clamp. This tape is not working.
Cute. Teamwork.
Teamwork.
There you go.
Thanks, Andy. Andy just likes touching my shoulders.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Andy. So right now I'm just going to kind of check to see where we're falling. And just visually, I'm going to come back and cross-check visually. I've got basically what we're looking for. And because we had such a lean section to hold on to, I want to make sure I didn't grab any of that hair. All right, so at this point, I'm just going to continue out with my section, crossing over the center of the back, just to ensure my balance. Finding out again with my comb where the head shape changes.
What kind of comb are you using?
I'm using a Sesbion comb that I actually got from Gerard at Hairbrain. It was awesome. Thanks for sending.
Thanks, Gerard.
Yeah, thanks for sending that to us. I've got to actually get some of the new IS Park ones, all those nice colors.
Yeah.
I was on the road coming over here and seems I misplaced a box.
Ooh.
Yeah. So as you're going to see, it's still transitioning longer because I had taken everything at once. Now that I've got the division where the head shape changes, still carrying up to the ceiling, finding my guideline, and what I'm doing is I'm maintaining the length that rods on this area of the head. So I've got length, the longest length here.
Where at?
Right behind the mastoid process.
Okay.
And that's what's going to help bring it in to give it that round shape. At this point, I'm redirecting my fingers down. I just kind of wanted to cup right about where it's falling. Once I get to the top, you're going to see why. I'm going to leave that as a little surprise. So as I was saying before, this haircut's going to be really nice and kind of not that intense for an everyday client to wear in the as far as behind the chair, but it gives you a little bit of a different approach just to keep things fresh, which is what we want to do. We want our job to be fun. We want to make a great career out of it and not be bored with what we're doing, but still give our clients what they're looking for. It is...
What are they looking for, Billy?
They're looking to be beautiful most of the time. I mean, we're, at least in the past...
I say everybody wants that question mark head shape, right?
The question mark head
yeah,
shape?
Yeah, the question mark. Everybody wants the question mark.
All right, so see, there's where two brains are working obviously together, but slightly different how we envision things. I think of an hourglass.
Okay.
Because I want to like kind of bring some shape to the hips.
Well, I want my
and
body to
elongate.
look like an hourglass.
Well, I'm talking
I don't
for...
want my head to look like an hourglass.
No, it's a deception.
Okay.
It's a deception. It's an illusion.
Okay.
So you can take someone, that's the great thing about round layers, especially on long hair. It's like so hard to give shape to something that's obviously too long, but by creating round layers, we can kind of change the shape and appearance, and it also affects anything from the waist up. So I'm just going to check to make sure I didn't grab any hair from my bottom section. It's a little bit easier to control when you actually have hair in the nape area. Just gives it a little bit something to hold on to. Like I was saying before, we're a little sparse in that area because it's being cut out. So I'm using my guideline, and now I'm connecting it, and then I'm going to come back and cross-check this. I am looking for a balance. I'm just visually checking to see if it's there. And again, I'm still going to continue with horizontal sectioning and not switch over to vertical. Being that nape area is out, we all know horizontal sectioning is going to build a little bit more weight as opposed to vertical. So I want to keep a little bit of that in there. I'm just trying to free up the interior. So again, I'm still over directing. It's just a different way of doing concave besides doing vertical. One trick, if you want, you can actually tilt the client's head forward with each section, since you are over directing to your original design line. But I want this to find, I would separate my design line with each section, even if I was going back to the first. I would bring my second to the first, I would bring my third with a little bit of the second to the first, and then I would continue down the head for as many sections I have. I wouldn't, depending on the density of the hair, actually over direct everything together. So being that this panel dipped down a little bit further, I want to make sure I still see where I'm elevating, so I want to see that. I want to see that line. So now I still have my design line. Is it kind of hard to see in the camera? Good. Okay. Can you see the design line though?
Yeah, when you're...
when I'm elevating?
Yeah.
Okay. So now I'm just gonna...
What kind of scissors are you cutting that design line?
I believe what I'm holding in my hand right now are the STS by Nick. I also got those from Gerard. Try to collect a lot of tools from Gerard.
Where are my tools, Gerard?
Well, I'm actually paying for them now.
Oh, okay.
These are things I've collected over the past 2 years. But Gerard does usually try to work with some of the best tools in the industry, so it's really good to go check out Hairbrain. You can get a variety of many colors that you might not be able to find on the open market as far as with certain other distributors. I know he has worked out some things with YS Park, which is nice. So I'm just going to turn the camera just a little bit more. So what I had going on was 2 triangles. I try to keep all of my segments and panels within a haircut, either in a triangle, a square, a circle, a rectangle. I want to try to keep that in mind when I'm designing, and I measure out to where the head shape changes. That's the way I kind of keep my balance, and I'm not trying to create something outside of the original design of the 3 shapes. I even use them in the interior of the head. So what I'm going to do is actually leave this hang over, and I'm going to go in there once it's dry and see where I'm at. The other one's kind of hidden. So right now I'm going to wrap it right here because I'm going to work on a little bit of the fringe, and then we're going to get to the triangle that's on top. This triangle actually comes straight back, but I'm going with the curvature of the head right here.
For that section that you left out, why are you leaving it out?
I'm going to leave it out and play with it after.
Yeah.
I just want to have a little bit of length in there to kind of break it up, because once you see me get to the top, it is actually going to be a little bit shorter.
Okay.
So as we go to the heavier side of the head where it's naturally parted, it's going to be a little softer. Now, to make it a little more interesting, if we want to change our parting on this haircut and we bring it over to the opposite side, at the angle I'll be cutting on, it's going to give us some substancy to a little bit of weight on this side. So that's going to make it a little more versatile, but also keep it creative. So what I'm going to do right now, since you can't see what I'm doing, is I'm going to take the guideline that I used to create the kind of shorter interior right here that will elevate into the ceiling, and I'm going to use that as my fringe. The longer part right here will tie in a little bit later. So let me actually come on this angle without grabbing that. We're actually going to grab a water bottle. I just want to mist the hair a little bit. It seemed to have dried. It is a little bit finer, so it dried on the temple area. Also, another great tool we got from Hairbrain, Wise Park bottle. Also available. I think now they actually have more fun colors. They only had like 3 when I started getting them.
Here at
And
Federico's.
here, we have them at Federico's.
We do.
Nice. Thanks for bringing that to my attention. I'm still learning the ropes here. Andy's getting me
Adam says great job, by the way.
oh, awesome.
He tells us to keep it up.
Nice.
Do you have any input? How are we doing?
You guys are doing fabulous.
We're doing fabulous.
Are you entertained? Thoroughly entertained?
I came in late, so I don't want to really ask too many.
You can ask whatever questions. We can harass
Yeah.
Brady as much as we want.
Y'all can harass me as much as you want. And if you're following along, everything is smooth. If you're understanding where I'm going with this, and you have, let's say, possibly some other things that you work on with your clients and you might have a challenge, I can hopefully answer it. If I can't, we will answer it eventually on the next show. I'll just jot it down and research. But I will not answer it if I can. I'm not going to give you.
I don't think anybody's seen Nicole's nape. Keep on cutting what you keep on.
We're going to cut. We'll show the nape after.
We gotta show them the nape.
All right. So I now have my guideline here from the interior before I drop that longer section out. And what I'm doing is I'm going to just get right in here. I'm actually going to bring it all the way over and cut it a little bit shorter. I'm looking for about the eyebrow.
Ooh, Nicole's gonna have some fringe.
Yes, Nicole's going to have, she has a great face for fringe. I told her not to be very nervous. I actually saw a movie last night, which I shouldn't even say what genre movies I watch, but it was London Boulevard. And I forget the actress.
What genre?
Well, it's like thriller. It's thriller, but it's Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell got out of prison.
You don't even know where my mind went. That's
No, I wouldn't even go there. But anyway, he played this kind of guy who basically whatever he gets into, he goes all the way with. Anyway, the actress in it kind of gave me an idea for these fringe that I'm cutting now. And basically it just follows the eyebrow. And Nicole has a very similar face, so I want to just carry it in a little bit. As of right now, I'm just going through and making sure I don't grab any of that hair that I want to be a little bit longer, which we're going to play with later. I always like leaving something to play with when it's dry. I think it's fun. I think we all do it. I mean, you can't beat it. You have something to play with.
Ever since you put the genre.
No, we don't. I should have known to say something like that with you in the room. All right, let's keep this educational and professional. Andy's actually very professional in the salon. He works all day. He does a great job. He's one of those stylists that works behind the chair constantly. being busy, the whole Federico team here, Adam's instilled such great training that the whole salon's quite busy. Since I've gotten here, I haven't stopped. Actually, I'm going to stop and take a little bit of water.
What was your inspiration for this? Do you have
Inspiration for this, actually the whole AJF salon, just kind of watching them cut hair. We come from a similar training background, Adam and I, and it's really funny to kind of talk about that. We seem to have missed each other by maybe 2 to 3 months several times throughout the past 20 years, and now 20 years later we've kind of crossed paths, and yeah, I really digged everything that was going on here. And I called him up and was like, hey, can I actually come out and hang out and see what's going on? I'm looking for something different in my life. And, welcomed me to come out, and the whole team here is like so great. Just down to earth, great stylists, great people, very into what they're doing, hair-wise, very into design, but at the same time, sometimes you wouldn't even think you're working around a bunch of stylists. It's great. So now I'm going to take this final section and continue cutting this fringe. So because of the sectioning I have gone back here, some of this fringe is going to kind of hang and wrap around. Now what I'm looking for to do is I actually did go a little bit shorter than my original design line, but I'm going to take care of that when it's dry. What I'm doing is I don't want to really have too much of an asymmetry on the fringe just because of Nicole's face shape. Generally someone with a little bit more of a diamond-shaped face, heart-shaped face, I would want to do something a little asymmetric. I think the balance would work out really nice, but I'm going to come back and clean this up actually once I'm standing in front. I just want to get some distance since I don't have a mirror. So remember, when doing shapes like this and you're changing something on the face pretty dramatically, step back, look in the mirror, see what's going on. When you're right on top of it, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge to see what's happening. Then you'll start nitpicking at every little thing you might not actually see a foot away. So this is a continuation of the section that I'm leaving longer. So before I get started, what are we laughing at over there? Are we laughing at my accent? Are you laughing at Nicole? Don't make her nervous. She doesn't know what's going on, and I swore to her I was going to do exactly what I said, which we are.
She's looking like Zoe Deschanel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Those
There we
cheek
go.
bones and that straight across fringe.
But the true question is Nicole funny?
Is Nicole funny?
Yeah.
She thinks she's funny.
She thinks she's funny?
Right?
Okay. Well,
It's a fact.
it's a
Yeah,
it's a fact. Is that fact? Okay, Andy.
hilarious.
That is fact.
Tell us a joke, Nicole.
What do you want to hear? Anything?
No, we don't want to hear anything. We do not want to hear any kind of joke here.
Why does a cow have 3 legs?
Keep it clean. Keep it clean.
Well, what do you call a cow with 3 legs?
Try to. Actually funny. That's kind of my sense of humor, actually.
Hilarious.
She laughs at her own jokes. I laugh at my own jokes, but they're not really funny. All right, so we're going to get over to this top area. So one thing that I did discuss was that it was going to be a little bit shorter of the top, and that's why I left this little section through here a little bit longer right here and through this side. Now this is the heavier side of the head, and like I was saying, I do want it to kind of blend in, but still keep a little bit of dimension to the body as it kind of hits in this area. Same thing's going to happen when you actually wear it to the other side. So here we go. This is where we're going to have a little bit of fun. So I'm just going to kind of comb this over to get it out of the way. And going to do it this way actually. Now we're going to go vertical. What I'm going to do is something that I was toying with on one of the haircuts for the model this weekend for the hair show. Standing on the opposite side of the head. I'm not going to elevate very high because all of this is going to pretty much come over. There's a little tip of this triangle section that will go on this side of the parting, but we might as well pop it, make it happen. Add a little bit of fun to that. So what I'm going to do is...
This is great for us because like we can see it, you over direct towards us, but don't you have like isn't it hard to over direct away from yourself?
It is, and it took a very long time for me to practice this. Okay. But I will come from the bottom. What I want to ensure, and it's a great question, Andy, actually. Every time I section hair, I want to make sure I'm going exactly from the root out. What that's going to do is it's going to actually release all the slag in the hair so it gets a nice even tension. And at the same time, if I want to follow my fundamentals and I'm not adding any tricks to it, I can actually keep parallel to the design line to the section that I'm parting. So I'm going to kind of get my balance. I'm actually going to go a little bit shorter than that. And I'm just really going to cut it flat. I'm going to cut a flat line parallel to where you're seeing in the camera or the wall behind you. The reason I want to cut a flat line is we're going to tilt Nicole's head. She said she was like Gumby. I could just bend her around. So that's what's doing yoga. You do a lot of yoga. You can move around.
You do a lot of yoga, Nicole?
I try.
There you go. The best part about it. All right. So I'm just going to twist this up. So you can see it definitely extends into my triangle. So by me over directing everything, I'm going to actually pinch it together and follow this first guideline. So what that's going to do is it's going to help fan it out, and it's going to retain a little bit of more length as it's coming through. So I'm going to go back up in a upright position. Generally, it's a personal preference. I do try to cut things in an upright position unless I'm looking for a little bit more extreme in the technique. I will over direct the head where it need be to increase either the convex or the concave of the layering. Sometimes it's funny because we all think, we remember if we're working on graduation in the back of the head, typically we will tilt the head down. But when it comes to the interior, sometimes we forget about it. So I try to keep that in mind. Now I'm going to actually start coming away from straight out of the head and over directing down slightly.
To retain even more length?
To retain even more length.
Oh my goodness.
I want this to be, yes, we're just retaining length here. Now remember, you want to keep that other section, if you all letting the hair drop, you want to keep that pin back with one of your clips so you don't start moving into your subsection below that you've already cut. We do want that to stay a little bit longer. All right. So again, combing from the root. Now I'm just remembering where I was, and I'm going a little bit further out, deciding not to pinch the hair because I kind of noticed something. And when you're cutting, if you notice something's not falling right, you know, always change. You can definitely change it up. You still got the same shape happening. You're just looking at the way it's going to live in the hair. So if need be, and you have to change your section as far as where you're over directing certain things just a little bit, feel free to. You're still following the same rules. Generally, I would be, now that I am bringing my elevation a little bit lower, I would be standing on this side of the head, but so you can get a clear vision of what I'm doing. I'm going to stand over here. Now you can see I'm leaving a little bit. Now if you want to make this a little more salon friendly, change the depth. The design will still work, you just adjust the depths of your layers. And basically you either want to make it whisper, talk, or scream as far as intensity level goes. And that's just a judgment of what you're going to do with your clients behind the chair. Design patterns in the interior. No. I'm talking about the haircut, the intensity of the haircut. You can adjust the intensity by the depths of where you cut the layers. All right, no sushi and sake for you tonight like last time.
Last time I had crazy nightmares. No way, man. Craziest night. I don't know what was up with that fish. They had some crazy. It was nuclear fish.
Wow.
It made me dream crazy.
Well, since we're quoting movies anyway, Nicole said, I didn't even know they still existed. We can go to Sizzler after this. As long if I win the bet. If I win the bet, we're going to Sizzler. I don't know. It was just it was in a movie. I'm quoting a movie. Woody Harrelson, Wesley Snipes. We're going to Sizzler. I could go for a good steak, but I have no idea. I've never been a Sizzler. See, Andy was trying to freak me out earlier and was like, I'm not going to stay for the whole thing. But it looks like he is. He's probably going to leave once I start blow drying. But hopefully he stays. Give me a little bit of support here. Trivia, right?
Yeah, but
some sort of trivia?
Trivia seems trivial, yeah.
All right, so everything else we're going to do dry at this point. I definitely want to detail it, kind of refine the shape. Once it's dry, that gives me a little bit more to envision. Pretty much from the beginning of the design, I knew where we were going. I've got the length in there that I was looking for. And right now we're just going to dry a little bit. What I may do is, let's see what we're going to use the style with. I actually used earlier a bit of a detangler. Let's see. We're actually going to use a little bit of styling whip at this point. I just wanted to have a little bit of hold. I'm not going to use too much. Throw it in our box of products, toys over here, which is great to have. We got to refill this box for this room. Yeah. Running a little bit low of choices, but we can always run back to the salon. All right, so do we have any activity going on with questions happening? Have you been keeping an eye on that?
The only person that said anything was Adam, and we have 4 people watching.
Okay.
Tune in next time.
Tune in next time. No, we're gonna, it's really funny because I think it's just like this in-between hour where a lot of hairstylists are getting off of work or still working or on, or in the Eastern time. They're pretty much, it's 9 o'clock. They're eating dinner like typical hairstylists, working hard all day. So we actually get a lot of viewers the following day. All right, I'm just going to take a peek and look what's happening over on the screen. All right, so I do see that I'm going to have some work even before I start blow drying. I'm definitely going to have some things to work with. Right now I'm just going to flatten everything out a little bit, keep a little bit of movement in it from the shape that we cut. I'm going to use a paddle brush, try to get things pretty smooth.
We got a question. What kind of blow dryer is that?
I don't know. It's a bioionic. Actually, we don't. It's something I brought from home. until I kind of buy a few more tools while I'm here. You know, but it's a company that I did support when I owned my salon. And, you know, look, we're down in the South, and we take, you know, we keep it pretty busy down there. We have a lot of clients. The blow dryers work, they're very lightweight. They blow dry very fast. So if I needed to have a novice stylist or a junior stylist, journeyman, whichever you want to call it, working in the salon to blow dry, they went at it, and it got dried quick. Then I could just come over, detail, remember, you know, just taking great care of the client. So I'm going to tilt the head. Basically, this hair is almost dry, but what I want to do is, when I'm actually blow drying, is I want my arms to work together. I don't want to wiggle the blow dryer. Wiggling the blow dryer is going to do two things. It's going to create frizz, I find. The other thing, I eventually just rattle the little motor in there loose and run into a problem. So, not that y'all, you know, everyone blow dries all day. It's nothing important that they want to hear about, but I follow the brush. My arms work together. I keep that air pointed on the hair. I'm not just following it, barely touching. I want to dry it. I got to get it in there. I want to move this hair around and see where there's excess weight that I want to remove or actually work and build off of. So now I'm going to come back to the opposite side. You know, everyone has a certain way of holding a brush. I like to hold the back of the paddle with my finger just so I can control it. And I definitely want to hold the handle a little further down, so if I need to move the brush, I can. Have a little bit more control with it that way. And I'm not heating my hand up as I blow dry. This is when everyone else gets their water break, their beer break, you know, blow dry time. And that styling whip is, it's got a little bit of grip to it, but I'm just kind of losing the hair a little bit in this brush. But I've worked with it this week. It's a great product. Still trying to figure out some of my favorite products out of the line. So this obviously I'm going to switch hands with the blow dryer. Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to blow drying, you kind of need to be. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but a couple of days you got it. So I can already tell that this has a little bit of intensity to it, but Nicole's young, she's in beauty school, she's a senior. She wanted to have a little bit of fun. She did say do whatever I want, but we did talk about some guidelines. So I wanted to make sure that what I was doing was going to work, and it's not just stuck in there to be creative, like I'm just going to throw this in here. So it did work with the rest of the haircut. It's working with the head shape. And you know, when you follow those rules, even if you're doing something that's pretty creative, it's not going to look out of place. You know, stay true to your design line, stay true to the design of the haircut, and you know, it's going to come out great, looking good. Don't second guess yourself once you start. You kind of want to have in your head your execution before starting. That's the only time I would say you kind of run into trouble is when you start to second guess, especially even the depths that you choose in. Yeah.
You did?
I did. No, I found it in a box somewhere. It was left over from something a while ago, but haven't really seen anyone using it, so I kind of put it aside. I didn't want to touch it. You know, I think being at the institute, the Federico Beauty Institute, and where it's at and what it is, they seem to just have people send, you know, products to play with. I mean, we don't really, you know, we're not a product-based company. You know, we're full-on education-based. So I guess it could be a good thing, because then we get companies all over sending product, and, you know, it works out great. So it makes me happy. I get to see a bunch of new stuff happening. We get to test out some products if we want.
I like what's happening here. It's like a little beret on the top almost.
Yeah.
Like that.
And then we got this side, which, you know, is a little bit softer. I'm just really going to dry these ends a little bit. It's pretty much dry. I just want to smooth it out a little bit more. The blow dry does work really fast, I will say that. It's a little, one thing I wish it had was a little bit of a longer cord. I do wish that. Blow dry, yeah, blow dry should always have at least a 14-foot cord. The 9-foot cords, so hard to maneuver around. All right. Luckily this heats up pretty fast because I did not turn it on earlier. So once I step over and kind of assess where we're at, I'm going to see what's happening. And then we're going to start to smooth the hair out a little bit. So as we're doing that and we're smoothing the hair, let me look and kind of look past Andy. So it's kind of seeing some things that I'm actually be able to get to detail. Did I lose my, there we go. You got to help me out there, Andy.
What's that?
You got to help me out there. So what I'm going to do now at this point is I'm going to switch over to a water tooth comb that I would use for dry cutting or detailing. At that point, I always kind of start my smoothing on the right side, being right-handed for some reason. And what I want to do is when I'm smoothing with the iron, which, you know, we all have different methods, I like to go kind of diagonal back. That way, if you end up closing it too close to the root and crease it, you're not going to actually see that as you would if you were taking horizontal sections. Yeah, so I'm going over a few other little details today because, like Andy was saying earlier, we do have, you know, was I on? I was. I wasn't on, but I didn't turn it on either. That was weird. All right, so I'm explaining a couple of little key things in here just because we do have some of the students over from the Federico Beauty Institute. So I'm just going to throw in a couple of extra tips. Say hi. Hi, girls. We have a few. So I really want to just smooth this temple out, so I'm going to go in a little close. What I like to do is use the heat at the root, so I'm not really closing it. I'm actually, as I work down the hair shaft, I'm closing it. So really I'm just kind of barely touching the roots, and then I'm closing it. I'm only going to take fine sections right here in the front. Everything else became pretty smooth. Generally, you can finish this any which way you'd like in a salon. I am only smoothing it out so I can actually detail this haircut a little bit. If my client did not want to leave with her hair so smooth, that's when I would grab someone in a salon and just have them rework it a little bit. So I'm using my clip nail to section. I'm getting a little bit more hair. going into the root, carrying it out. So just to talk a little bit more about some of the events coming up, that we do have that symposium coming up in September, which we actually have a couple of guests appearing at once. We have, I think, 4 in-house all at once.
The Erosia team.
Yeah.
The Erosia team, DJ, Douglas.
The Erosia team, DJ,
Douglas McCoy.
Muldoon, Douglas McCoy.
And we're forgetting one more. An owner of a salon in Las Vegas.
Yes, it's David,
Is it David
and no, it's not. Is it? No, David Gatt is in San Antonio. Albuquerque, New Mexico. I thought you were going to write those names down for me, Andy. We'll just throw it on to Andy at this point. But we do have that event coming up, and like I was saying, very seldom do you get a powerhouse full of people all under one roof. So I think it's going to be really great. I'm actually glad to be here for that event, and more power to them. Thank them for coming out. So that's like one little gathering. But each of those guys are actually going to be coming out on separate weekends also, and they're offering some education. And those are the ones where I think the tickets are running like $225 to $275, depending who the guest artist is and what's going on. We do have limited seating to those events, so go on to FedericoEd.com and you can click on, I believe, is it the education ticket or the purchase area, and you can actually get your tickets, because I have a feeling with those stylists themselves promoting it, it's getting very close to sold out, I'm sure. Because if I know all those guys, they're big promoters. So I think it's already looking like a good weekend with those guys. And I don't think it's their first time coming out here. I think, if you live in a 2 to 3 hour driving distance, get in the car, come on out. It's a great weekend. The Federico Institute here actually puts on a good show.
IQ cutting with Sony Brado in September.
Who's that?
IQ cutting with
IQ.
Sony Brado in September.
Okay. That's definitely good. Yeah, I mean, we got something going on every week in September, I believe. And then, of course, we're going to be heading out to New York, I think, on the last weekend of September for the Erosia Expo, I think. So, yeah, come out and meet us out there. If you're on the East Coast and you can't make it out here, definitely grab a chance to get to that event. Come hang out, meet a lot of people there, network. A lot of the Federico team will be there. I'm not sure exactly who yet, but like I said, we have a lot of things going on here, so we have our whole team tied up at that point, being super busy, super supportive of everything. So it's like I was saying, it's great. They host a great show. This weekend it was like, I mean, come on, they're Italian, so you get catered out. We had great food. We had great wine. We had beer. The show was definitely the best part of it, but the drinks afterwards and the food, it was definitely welcoming. A great family business here. I think Andy ate most of the candy that was offered.
I ate all of it.
All of the candy, yeah.
Sugar high.
Yeah, they had like candy, and it was kind of funny because at first I thought I saw M&Ms, and then I realized it was something else, and then someone did have M&Ms. I was like, haven't had M&Ms in forever, so I was kind of trying to find where those were at. So what else do we have happening? I don't want to...
We have Russell Mays coming in.
Russell Mays. Are we jumping into October at this point,
Well,
Andy?
Douglas is in October.
Douglas McCoy is in October. Okay, so that's a little further away. And he's always on the road. He's always doing stuff up and down the West Coast.
I need to find that thing that.
It's right here. We have one.
Not this one, but the one that explains like.
Yeah, I mean, I know the calendar changed. Like I was saying, it's
Symposium.
you know, as the year went through, I know they got more and more phone calls of artists wanting to come hang out, do some stuff in a nice theater room, and especially in the advanced room we have.
I'm curious to see who comes out from Arojo. I don't know if Nick himself will be coming out or
Yeah,
an artist.
I don't know who's coming out from Arojo, but I'm sure whatever, it's going to be a great weekend. Those guys are always fun, and well, mostly girls,
Yeah.
mostly guys and girls, but they're always fun to have around, man. They share a lot of information. You know, they wouldn't be where they're at if they didn't. You know, that's definitely how I network, is a lot through that crew. You know, just having Nick and Gerard, and networked a lot through them. How I finally crossed paths with Adam, which I'm very happy about. But I got to meet a lot of great people through those guys. People that I never would have thought I would have met, but had paid attention to and looked at over the years. Always trying to work off of if you know, if I saw some things that I liked, and they all of them have something different to offer. That's the great thing about it. And the great thing about this is, once we loosened everything up, like I was saying before, like you saw when we first started, it was kind of easy to cut that guideline in. Now it's, you know, we can still do it. We can still bring it up a little bit more if we choose to. What I'm going to do is just alleviate some weight through there now, since I didn't actually do that in the wet cut. I wanted to see what it was going to do. So where are we at on time, Andy?
20 minutes.
Till the hour or to the hour and a half?
Hour and a half. I think
All
we
right.
started early.
Okay.
I mean, it's 7.
So yeah, once I get talking and I'm flat ironing, it's like, you know, I like to iron, so let me just move this along a little faster. I can take a bit larger section in.
Yeah.
What's that?
You're gonna show that nape, aren't you?
Yeah, we're
Who
gonna.
did it?
I have no idea who did the name.
Spicy.
Spicy.
Spicy the barber.
Spicy the barber.
Spicy the barber did
We
it.
got a good barbering program.
We do.
We got
All about
a
that.
great barbering
Spicy cuts
program.
on Instagram.
Spicy cuts on Instagram.
Shout out.
No, we have a great barbering program. It's really taken off, I think, since I started it this past year, and really merging it into the Cosmo area of the school. And I think California is now even like kind of doing like a 100-hour merge or something for the two.
Oh yeah.
I heard something about that. I'm not really sure. I don't want to comment on it, but I heard something about it, which is actually awesome. So if you're a Cosmo student, you do the 100 hours and something for the barbering program. You can kind of cross your, if that's correct. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I kind of heard something like that. So you're almost out of the FBI, the Federico Beauty Institute, huh?
Yes.
I just love those initials.
FBI.
Yeah, I'm loving those initials. Sounds so serious.
It does.
Sounds like if you you don't stay on top of yourself, you're gonna get in trouble. So, all right, let's switch over to some other scissors. I'm actually gonna go into the QX at this point. I noticed when I was cutting wet, the tips of the STS were kind of a little snippy, kind of almost grabbing the hair a little bit. So now that it's dry, I definitely don't want that to happen. So I'm just going to actually step in the front and see what we have going on fringe-wise. So we do have a little bit coming over, which I'm going to play with. That's why I wanted to leave it. And we will strengthen that up a little bit. So first I'm going to, well, first let's just show you the nape area since everyone's asking about it.
Whoa.
I think that was pretty freshly done.
Barber students.
Yeah.
There you go.
Working in a little
Spicy.
design under there. said it was okay for Sizzler. They didn't mind that. Wear your hair up.
Is that where you work?
Yeah, I do work at Sizzler.
Where's that at?
The one on Douglas.
Oh.
Yeah. So if you want to get an autograph later, feel free to.
An autograph?
An autograph? You're doing the autograph?
Yeah.
For being the model?
Yeah.
All right, so you can see as my points here with the other section, and so what I'm going to do is actually come by and grab some of that out of the way right now. I'm just going to elevate the hair, see where we're at. All right, that fell out. So even though leaving that a little bit longer, it definitely was really nice. It covered it up quite nicely. So I'm going to use Andy's eyes. It's hard for me to see past the lights on the camera. But as you can tell, we broke this shape up, and it's got a little bit heavier feeling to the roundness, but it's still definitely lightened it up on the approach we took. But that's also coming through from the top. So let's vertically take a section out and see where we're at for that section. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is, which I've seen before, I'm just going to come in and kind of scoop the hair a little bit, not closing the scissor all the way, just to add a little bit of texture. I actually saw Adam doing this Monday. There was a great class that he got to teach, and I actually got to be part of, which I was very happy about. So I don't normally come in and do a lot of stuff like this. I'm pretty traditional. I try to make things creative by the way that I mix things up in the interior with the sectioning. I mean, I'll soften hair, but I don't come by with a lot of advanced little movements like that. I have been toying with them a little bit more. I do have a different little style of removing weight that I would do, but like I said, as you're learning, I'm learning also with certain things, and you know, I'm going to follow some of the things. You know, Adam's around all these great cutters all the time.
So is that providing like a soft blend?
It is. It's providing a little bit of a soft blend, loosening the tips up, still keeping it solid. I think it's a really great method, a great technique to use. As I wrap around into the nape, there's not so much going on. So really, I'm just letting some of the layering fall out at this point. And I'm just going to actually start moving. You know, I kind of got the groove of it. I'm going to move a little bit faster. I know we are, you know, same as in a salon. We're running a little behind. We got to move. I'm going to watch where that falls out. That's some of the length that I had left in that fell over. What do we have? So I'm not going to do too much. I'm actually going to take a little bit wider of a section through the back since we're missing that whole nape. What you got there, Andy? Something fun? All right, so you can see we got some of that length that's hanging over the short hair that we already cut. And here we go. So I'm going to go slightly underneath that. Loosen this up a little bit more. So I'm not closing the scissor all the way, and I'm kind of scooping the hair out a little bit. I'm sure you've seen those guys that have done it, seen them do it, and actually do it pretty fast. Like I said, I'm actually just giving it an attempt today, and I'm actually doing it a little bit slower, but nothing wrong with that. So if you want to keep a balance, even though you're putting texture in the hair, you can still keep a balance through. Just count the strokes that you're doing. That way you don't overstroke something, you know, if you're doing anything, if you're softening hair at all. Just kind of, you know, this is the part where I normally don't speak that much to the guest or the client. You know, if they ask me, I just tell them I'm counting, basically. Trying to keep a balance there. Let me shake that out. Now everyone's going to start counting and be like, really missed one. Seems a little bit heavier on this side. So I'm actually going to do a little bit more. So you can adjust it same way you adjust in your wet cut. You know, you're generally looking for a balance. That some of that was the length that we left out to overhang, which we're going to get to next. So we're going to come back and do that again.
Do you mind if I take a picture?
No, go right ahead. I mean, I don't think I would mind. This whole thing's been filmed for the past hour and 10 minutes. All right, so being that this is the leaner side, and this is your detailing. This is like, you know, you're sanding down the furniture, the wood, you're icing the cake, you're doing whatever you want to call it, but basically you're detailing your hair in plain reference. So without disrupting the shape that you have, you know, you can be as aggressive as you want, and this is where you get to have a little bit of fun. Change it up a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that as long as you're not disturbing the shape that you cut in. So in a point of saying that, I'm going to over direct everything forward here. I mean, I don't think we can get that aggressive if we got a shaved nape, so I'm just going to really come in here. And just take that off and break that open. Yeah. So, all right, before I hit the fringe, I always hit the fringe last. I don't want a lot of hair sitting on the face of my client, definitely not my model on camera. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I got this little length that came out. I'm going to start actually in the back and work my way forward. That way I don't have hardly any hair falling on the face. So what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to find that shorter line, and you know, you can little trick, you know, fan it open with your fingers so you're not taking too much out if it's condensed. I don't know if that's something you've seen before, but it's a good little trick that I've used in a salon. I don't even know where I picked that one up, but I know I picked it up from somebody. May have been Gerard Scarpaci, actually. I may have picked that one up from. So really I'm just turning my fingers. Let me just leave that out. Kind of leave that melt in, and then we're going to get to that top section, which at this point, that was only longer in a V shape, so we're not going to have that much length after this point. It's going to be completely what we cut and over directed all the way to the opposite side of the head.
Yeah, about 10 minutes.
All right, 10 minutes, we got this. Like I said, we just want to soften this. I'm not going to go in there and take a lot out. At this point, I'm just taking out the tips a little bit and softening it up. I don't want to disturb that shape. I still want to keep some weight to it. So when we do blow dry it to the opposite side, we have a little bit of a distorted weight line distributed out, coming back. So I'm closing my scissors on the way out. you get a different effect as you would if you close them on the way in. I'm looking for softness. I'm not looking for it to have this like serrated, shredded texture. This side, a little bit smaller of a cutting panel, not much there to soften. I think it pretty much softened itself as we cut it. So I wanted to hold that long hair out of the way, so I actually just put my comb in my other finger. All right. So we still have this round shape happening, which is very nice and soft. It still feels kind of sexy, even though we have a little bit shorter of an interior. What we're going to do now is, since we're wiring it parted to this section, and we already brought the front out, now I'm going to come back and now I have that longer hair. So I'm going to soften it as it goes in to below the parietal ridge, which we left longer. This is all visual what I'm doing right now. I'm just kind of looking at how it's falling. I really want that softness through there. So like I said, when we bring it back over to this side, if we do style it in that direction, we're going to see a little bit more of an indenture, a little bit more of a curvature to kind of throw that round shape and give it a little bit of strength. Like I said, we're just kind of leaving this to the end to play with and see what we're doing. Again, I think, all right, let me look at the camera. Andy stepped out for a second. And I'm going to continue to work and just let my sections drop so I don't recut them. This is visual. And it's very nice. We're getting a little bit of a little kind of chunkiness there, which is nice. So see, there's definitely ways to be creative and still keep things soft and sexy and very beautiful. It doesn't always have to be, oh, it's creative, it's just extreme, and, you know, the freakier the better. We just want to keep ourselves from being bored behind the chair if we're a stylist that's working all day behind the chair. If we get to do stuff like this every day, you know, you can have a little bit of fun. You're going to try out many different things. You get to take your time. It's a little bit different, but you're in a hustle and bustle. You got a family. You're working it really hard. It's still a little bit. I'm just going to soften that up a little bit. Like I was saying, you're doing a hustle and bustle behind the chair. You got to remember, there's a lot of style. We're all in different situations, so we have to use this moment of education and diverse it out and like figure out what we want with it. You know, what are we using it for? Are we using it to have fun? Are we using it to open our minds up to be a little more efficient behind the chair, but still have fun and not be bored with taking client after client? It's all for different reasons, you know. It's the same thing when going through a haircut that you get from somewhere else. We never know what was inspired by that person. We don't know where their goal was. You know, so anything you get in a chair is just something, you know, you want to, like a sculptor would do, or think of like a sculptor. You're not adding more clay to the piece to build something. You're removing to reveal its true image. So, you know, I always look at something that someone has when they come into into the salon period. And you work with what you have, and you just want to reveal more of that true image if you're not seeing it. That's all it is. You know, that's what we're here for. You know, same thing. It's like in the way you cut hair. It's the way you explain things. It's everything you do. You just want to remove as much excess as possible, less confusion, and really build with what you have going on. All right, so I'm sure Andy is coming back in the room to tell me that I am about out of time. So I want this to have a little bit of intensity to it. So I'm actually pointing, and I want there to be a little bit of choppiness. That's why I left this in here. So making it a little shorter, bringing this image up a little bit into this other length. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to build this corner out so we have some shortness and longer areas to it. Not the exact same haircut, not even the exact same technique. It was elevated much different, but basically being that I have this excess length, like I was saying, I try to educate myself as much as possible. And this was, you know, the different lengths that are coming up and down. I kind of imagined something off of like the Tribe collection from a class I took a few years ago at Santa Monica, Sassoon, and it was really great. Always a great group there. All right, so I kind of like the bluntness feeling that we have going on over here, but we're going to bring it up and over direct out, leave a little bit out, and just make it even more aggressive. Now this is all just detailing. I'm going to strengthen this line up on the fringe at this point. We're getting close to time. So I'm going to go with how this hair, you know, we discussed this before. We have a really strong growth pattern here. I'm going to work with it. Even when blow drying it straight, it still has this little bit of separation, but we're going to work with it. I'm liking it, so I'm just going to kind of leave it through there and not touch too much. And we took enough hair off that now I'm just going to come through and follow this and strengthen it right to over the eye right here. And now we're going to leave. Let me step back like I was saying and look. Yeah, we're just going to take that off. But by, you know, whether it comes off or it stays, we still did preserve some of that length that we left in there that was longer. I was kind of iffy about if it was going to look good hanging over the fringe. All right, so basically at this point what I'm going to do is work on my line a little bit. We all know how that works. I think we got to come very close to shutting the camera off. What I'm going to do is actually, so I get a little more precise in this, I'm going to have Nicole come stand up, come behind the chair. Do not slip on your dry hair. Nicole is in some high platform shoes here, sandals. They look good.
Right here?
This is, yeah, right behind the chair. Actually, they can't see what I'm doing. Why don't we turn around, actually?
Okay.
And then Andy's going to move this camera all the way back. So you're going to stand and place your hands on the chair. So if you're in a salon and you don't normally have a client stand up, the corners of the chair are really great for this. It's going to flatten out the back, so you won't have anything to worry about. The only thing I'm worried about is how this cape is falling, so I'm going to clip it. Normally we're in a gown when getting a haircut. Today we have this cape, and I'm just going to kind of toy with what we have happening. Now it's sometimes hard to get a balance on something that's rounded. Try to definitely keep it as straight as possible. If I want something rounded, what I normally would do is tilt the head forward and then come back. If I want a little more extreme roundness on it, I'll just kind of the corners and make it a little more extreme, but I'll never go back and recut the center. It's already going to have a nice balance to the roundness of it. Now I'm standing right on top of it, and this is what I was talking about before. You can't really see what's going on, so I'm going to use Andy's eyes. Andy's going to tell me if it's off. Is it?
Yeah.
See, up close,
A little bit of the corner, but
I'd keep working it because I'd say it wasn't balanced standing right on top of it. But all right, we're going to go with that. So as you can see, we took a nice creative approach to it. We used a little bit of advanced techniques, but overall, even with the shaved nape underneath and the shortness that we have in the front, we're going to actually get this robe off, and we're going to sport this look a little bit more. I just want to touch base and show you the movement we have. You can stand right where you're at, turn around and face the camera. I'm looking for, here we go. This is going to give it a little bit of fun. This is the dry shampoo from the Erosia line. I like it. I feel like it gives great texture. I should have kind of used a little bit of moving the hair off the face a little bit. We have a few short pieces. We're going to get rid of that though. Would never let her walk out of here with that. And I'm just going to build it up. I want to kind of move this around. All right, that is time. We will see you again next week. Federico Live happens every Thursday. So Adam will be back next week, and you get the fulfillment of having him. Hopefully he invites me back into the room. Maybe we can share a little information, play off of each other. But I'm going to let him do all the talking next week, I think. All right, so we're gonna do a soft little turn and kind of see the shape. And yeah, you're fine. So we broke up the interior. We still kept it pretty solid on the bottom, and we have a little bit of fun going on top. Like I said, you can always change those depths.